I thought I'd sort of join in. Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek, and welcome to Miss Sunday. It is Sunday, isn't it? Yes, it is, because I put the bin out. Yes, welcome to my Sunday night live news stream, where I've got some news items to look at that I've what's the word? I tried to remember this word a couple of weeks ago, and I still can't remember it. Anyway, I have gathered some news stories over the last couple of days. One particularly big news story, which is very sad, but we'll do that one first. But before we get into it, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. We're live on YouTube, so let me check, make sure. Hey, yes, we are. We're live on YouTube. We should be live on Rumble. So let me refresh the Rumble page and hit play. There we go. And we should be live on Twitch. Yes, we are. Right. Okay, so let me share that bugger. I still wish you could share stuff from Twitch before it actually goes live. But anyway, there we go. That's that done. Right. Oh, Win Grace is here. Yes, it's news time already. It's night time here, but for Win Grace, it's the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday. Right, so, where were I? Oh, yes. Later on, I'll upload it to Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts and Google Podcasts. I will also, later on, add timestamps, because all the links are in the description down below, or wherever the description is. It's usually below, isn't it? I'll add timestamps and all that jazz, because the links are in the description for all these news items. Is that it? I'm also on Facebook, X, and Instagram. I'm going to plug my books. Sod it. Hang on, not that one. This one is just a clue of what one of the stories is about later. I'm going to be using that as evidence, my lord. But never mind. Hang on, let's move them out of the way. I've got things in the way. So wreck things for next Friday. Hang on. Right. Links in the description for me 2 books. Mercury Rapids, a light-hearted sci-fi action-adventure about UFOs and stuff. And Silent Predator, a short horror novella about big cats eating people in North Yorkshire. And what does Wingray say? A Star Wars book. Didn't think they had those. No, because according to Kathleen Kennedy, they have no books to fall back on for stories, have they? My brother got me this. It's a hardback version of, the novelisation of, the first film, Star Wars. Not written by George Lucas, written by Alan Dean Foster. Anyway. Anywho, right, so let's get on with the news, shall we? So, first up. And welcome, by the way, Win Grace, welcome to the show. Go and subscribe. Well, follow as well. Subscribe to Win Grace's channel on YouTube. It's got lots of great stuff in there. Reviews and news and comics and stuff like that. It's amazing. Right. Now then, I don't know what buttons to press. That one. Hey, got it right. Right, obviously the sad news, the big news of the last couple of days. Carl Weathers has passed away unexpectedly for everybody. I think did he just die in his sleep or something like that? I think he did. Anyway, this is from Variety. Ethan Shanfield wrote this. Carl Weathers, Rocky's Apollo Creed and Mandalorian actor, dies at 76. I didn't even realise he was that old. But there he is. Apparently an amazing guy, as well as a good actor and a good action star and all that stuff. And they were great with the fans at conventions and stuff. All very sad. All very, very sad. Right, Carl Weathers, who starred as Apollo Creed in the first 4 Rocky films opposite Sylvester Stallone, died Thursday. His manager, Matt Luber, confirmed to Variety he was 76. Weathers also starred in 1987's Predator and had a memorable role in Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore. I've never seen that. I think the only Adam Sandler film I've seen I've seen 2. I've seen Click and Pixels. They're the only 2 Adam Sandler films I've seen. You know what? I didn't mind them, either of them. Right, anyway. He was nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series for his work in the Star Wars series The Mandalorian. where he played Grief Karga, which is a cool name, I've got to admit. Grief Karga is a cool name. He voiced Combat Carl in Toy Story 4. I did not know that. And played a fictionalised version of himself in a recurring role on Arrested Development, which I've never seen Arrested Development. His other credits include the TV series Street Justice, Colony, The Shield, Chicago Justice and Brothers, and the films Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which he had a blink and you'll miss it role. In fact, I think it might be gone. Now then, which version did I watch last? I think it might be in the collector's edition, like the latest version that Steven Spielberg put out. That it puts bits from like the original theatrical edition and the special edition and some other little bits and bobs. It puts back in, and it might be in that one, but in the original theatrical version, it might not be. I'm not entirely sure which is which, but. Literal blink and you'll miss it role. He plays like a military officer near the end of the film, and he's like is guiding or looking after one of the characters, and literal blink and you'll miss it in Close Encounters. Anyway, Death Hunt and the Comebacks, and also a reminder today over on the Sunday Brunch with RM and Russ Whitfield that he were in Force 10 from Navarone. A great film. I love that film. Sequel to The Guns of Navarone, starring Harrison Ford and Robert Shaw and the other fella, Edward Fox. Edward Fox, bloody hell! That's Edward. That's my Edward Fox impression. Who else? Richard Keel and reunited from being together in The Spy Who Loved Me. What's her face? I can't remember her bloody name now. Barbara Bach. Anyway, Force 10 from Navarone. Give it a whirl. It's a jolly good film. He's in that. And The Comebacks, which I've never heard of. Happy Gilmore, says Wingrace, and Billy Madison are like the two classic ones. You'd probably find them annoying. Probably. Don't know. So I've not seen, but I've only seen Click and Pixels. He's in Pixels, isn't he? I'm sure he is. Born January 14th, 1948 in New Orleans, Weathers played a variety of sports, including boxing, football, soccer. Oh, hang on, finish that. After working with Sandler, sorry, I skipped a bit. After working with Sandler on the 1996 golf comedy Happy Gilmore, Weathers briefly reprised his role in Little Nicky and voiced a character in Sandler's animated Hanukkah comedy 8 Crazy Nights. Born January 14th, 1948, so he just had his birthday. In 1948, in New Orleans, Weathers played a variety of sports, including boxing, football, soccer, which is the same thing over here, but I know what you mean, wrestling and gymnastics. He played football in college, American football, in college at San Diego State University and helped the Aztecs win the 1969 Pasadena Bowl. Cool. No idea what that means. While at SDSU, San Diego State University, Weathers also pursued a degree in theatre arts, but in 1970 he signed with the Oakland Raiders as a free agent and he played in 8 games in the NFL as a linebacker across 2 seasons. After his stint in professional football, Weathers pivoted more seriously to acting, landing small roles in Arthur Mark's blaxploitation movies Bucktown and Friday Foster, as well as TV series including Good Times, Kung Fu, Cannon and Starsky and Hutch. In Predator, Weathers starred as Colonel Al Dillon. You know what? I never even realised he had a rank. You just know him as Dillon, don't you? This bloke that were a friend of Dutch and went off to join the CIA. I'd never even thought of him as Colonel. So he outranked, because he was Major, wasn't he? He was Dutch. So he outranked Arnold Schwarzenegger. Windgrass says, Little Nicky is great too, but super odd. I forgot what I want now. Colonel Al Dillon alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, who went on to become the governor of California. Why would you mention that? Don't know. And Jesse Ventura, who became the Minnesota governor. Why would you mention that? I don't know. Never mind. In 1988, Weathers hosted Saturday Night Live, and many years later, he returned to the live sketch show for a spoof segment in which he announces, all right, this is why they mentioned it, he is running for political office on the basis that he was the black guy in Predator. When Stallone asked Weathers for permission to use footage from the earlier Rocky films for the sixth movie in the franchise, 2006's Rocky Balboa, Weathers refused and lobbied for an actual part in the film, despite his character Apollo Creed dying in Rocky IV. Stallone said no and hired a lookalike actor to shoot flashback fight sequences. The pair reconciled, and Weathers later allowed Stallone to use his likeness in the Creed sequel series, in which Michael B. Jordan plays Apollo Creed's son. In his later career, Weathers landed smaller roles in TV procedurals, and he directed episodes of them too. He earned his first Emmy nomination in 2021 for the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, in which he played Grief Karga. In 9 episodes across 3 seasons, Weathers stepped into the director's chair for episodes 12 and 20 of the Star Wars spin-off. Weathers is survived by his ex-wife Marianne and their 2 sons. So it's very, very sad. Very sad, like unexpected. I didn't realise he was 76. So I suppose when you get over like 70, anytime, every time you wake up in the morning, it's a bonus, I suppose. I feel like that now, to be completely honest. But I'm sure I read somewhere that he just passed away in his sleep, so it was like unexpectedly. But at least he wasn't ill or anything like that, apparently. Right. So that's very, very sad. So, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. He'll always be Dylan for me. Obviously, I know him from the Rocky films first, but whenever anybody says Carl Weathers to me, the first image that pops into my head is Dylan, you son of a bitch, and the muscles scene from Predator. That's what pops into me, my mind's eye immediately. So there we go. Right, let's move on. We're sticking actually with Carl Weathers. For the next article. Here we go. Showing what an upstanding guy he was. This one is from Deadline. Where are we? There we go. It's from Deadline. Anthony D'Alessandro. Gina Carano says Carl Weathers called her after Mandalorian firing. Didn't want me to give up. And there we go. And there's the lovely Gina Carano. Can you read that? Make that bigger. Oop, did it. Whatever, it's near enough. Try one more. Go on. Oh, it'll be right. Go away, articles. Former Mandalorian vet Gina Carano wrote a warm, lengthy tribute to her fellow Disney Plus Star Wars series co-star Carl Weathers on Instagram. The actor died today at 76. Carano, who was not welcomed back for a 3rd season of The Mandalorian, don't get me started on that, or any other Star Wars spin-off in the wake of making controversial comparisons in February 2021 about a divided US to Nazi Germany, said that Weathers called me directly after I was fired. By the way, just saying, she did nothing wrong, in my opinion. She just, shared a meme, essentially. But anyway, and it got her fired because they didn't like it anyway. Apparently, well, Kathleen Kennedy at least. That's the rumor that Kathleen Kennedy took an instant dislike to Gina Carano and were overheard or something saying that one's trouble. So that's the rumor. Anyway, Carano played bounty hunter Cara Dune for 2 seasons on The Mandalorian, while Weathers portrayed bounty hunter agent turned later High Magistrate of Navarro, Grief Karga. Weathers also directed 9 episodes. I don't think he directed 9, did he? I think it just said he directed 2. Episodes 9 and 20. I think they made a mistake there. Directed episodes of The Mandalorian and was nominated for guest actor in a drama series for the 2020 episode, Chapter 12, The Siege. I wasn't in an emotional state where I could pick up the phone because of how upset I was, but we did end up speaking later on, she writes, about hearing from Weathers post her Disney dismissal. He was gentle and encouraging and didn't want me to give up. He was letting me know that he wasn't throwing me away. He was trying to keep my hope alive in what seemed like quite hopeless scenario. He showed me he cared. That is who he was. Of all the people that stood up for Gina when she was let go from The Mandalorian, there's Carl Weathers. Also, I forgot the name now. Giancarlo Esposito. He also, but after the fact, somebody asked him who his favourite co-star was at a convention during, a Q&A thing, who his favourite co-star was, and he actually said Gina Carano. So this were after firing. And who else? The comedian fella. I forgot his name. he played a baddie turned goodie in The Mandalorian. I forgot his bloody name now. The comedian chap, the stand-up comedian. He stood. Excuse me. He stood up for it, but after the fact, didn't at the time they didn't. Anyway. Right, where were we? I bonded with him very closely on Mando seasons 1 and 2. Yes, that's the fella, Bill Burr. Yes, Bill Burr. I bonded with him very closely on Mando season 1 and 2, writes Carano. Jon Favreau felt he would be a good mentor for me because we shared the athlete-turned-actor bond. Remember, she used to be a UFC fighter, didn't she? Or something like that. So John had him direct my first episode in season 2 of Mando. I believe had we gotten to Rangers of the New Republic, Carl would have directed me in much more. John F. and Jon Favreau was right. We were a great fit. Carl was a mentor to me on set. He would put both his arms on my shoulders and look me directly in the eyes to calm my spirit, she expounded on Instagram. He had a wonderful perspective of telling a story that can only come through his experience and wisdom that he shared with me to help make me shine. I cherish those moments. I'll learn to read one day. Read Carano's full Instagram post below, and there's a link to it. There you go. Oh yes. Let's read it. Eh? Right, hearing the news of Carl Weathers passing today is shocking. I'm going to struggle through these words, she writes. I was so looking forward to giving Carl the biggest hug at one of these fan expos I heard we were both going to be at this year. I looked forward to that reunion. Carl called me directly after I was fired. I wasn't in an emotional state where I could pick up the phone because of how upset I was, but we did end up speaking later on. He was gentle and encouraging and didn't want me to give up. He was letting me know that he wasn't throwing me away. He was trying to keep my hope alive in what seemed like quite hopeless scenario. He showed me he cared. That is who he was. I bonded with him very closely on Mando season 1 and 2. Jon Favreau felt he would be a good mentor. We've just read this bit, haven't we? But I'll carry on. Good mentor for me because we shared the athlete-turned-actor bond. So John had him direct my first episode, in season 2 of Mando. I believe had we gotten to Rangers of the New Republic, Carl would have directed me in much more. Jon Favreau was right. We were a great fit. Carl was a mentor to me on set. He would put both his arms on my shoulders and look me directly in the eyes to calm my spirit. He had a wonderful perspective of telling a story that can only come through his experience and wisdom that he shared with me to help make me shine. I cherish those moments. I adored making him laugh. I always wanted to figure out how to make him smile, where the corner of his mouth would start to crack, and I knew I had him. Then out came his bellowing laugh, his laugh I can hear clearly now, his laugh that I will miss dearly. His big booming voice echoed throughout the stage, and you just knew this is what a movie star truly is. He obviously shined on screen, but man, did he light up with such passion in that director's chair. I'm going to miss my friend and mentor and that mischievous little sparkle in his eye. He was one of the greats and quite a groundbreaker. I am flooded by all the precious memories we had together. My condolences to his family and loved ones. He was a great man. Rest in peace, my dear friend. As he would say, be peace, my friend, be peace. Love hearts and a broken heart. Hashtag Carl Weathers. So there we go. Very, very sad. I'm getting a little bit emotional then reading that out, a little break in my voice. But yes, it's very sad, very sad. But there we go. Right, let's move on to other things now. Right, we're sticking with Star Wars. We've got a few Star Wars stories today. Actually, they're all Star Wars and Star Trek today. No Doctor Who. There may be some Doctor Who news, but it didn't stand out to me. But anyway, what the heck? Right, This is from The Direct. Who writes this? Nathan Johnson. Cool surname. Star Wars just teased Baylan Skoll's potential return without Ray Stevenson. And there's a photo. It looks like a... Is that an actual photo of Ray Stevenson? It looks like computer generated, doesn't it? Like you'd see in, like a video game. Anyway. Ray Stevenson's Baylan Skoll played a major role in Season 1 of Ahsoka, and the character may be brought back when the Star Wars Disney Plus series returns. Baylan Skoll was featured throughout Ahsoka Season 1 as a Jedi turned dark, in search of something better for himself and his apprentice, Shin Hati. Many fans praised Stevenson's performance in the role, but due to the actor's tragic passing, there are questions about if Baylan will return in future Star Wars projects, particularly Ahsoka Season 2. Star Wars officially confirmed via X, formerly known as Twitter, we all know that now, that Ahsoka will... oh, excuse me. Crikey Moses. That Ahsoka will return for Season 2. I forgot to make that big, didn't I? It looks a bit small there, doesn't it? Hang on. There, it looks a bit better. That Ahsoka will return for Season 2 by sharing a piece of concept art of Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren. I presume that's what they're on about. The story continues, where they're standing on one of the Lord of the Rings statues. However, in the drawing, Ahsoka and Sabine are standing on the outstretched hand of a statue of the Father, seemingly the same stone figure Ray Stevenson's Baylan Skoll was seen on in the final episode of Season 1. This reveal teases that Season 2 of Ahsoka will likely centre on Ahsoka and Sabine following Baylan as he searches for the greater power that he sensed on Peridia. Remember, they're in another galaxy. Since Baylan and his quest will likely directly influence the events of Season 2, this new piece of concept art could have confirmed that the character will in fact return. If true... That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? If true, that means Star Wars will have to recast the character of Baylan. The concept art, does it? Didn't recast... well, they did, but they didn't recast Peter Cushing, did they? They just slapped his face onto another actor. Anyway, the concept art also included writing on it that read "The story continues." This further suggests that the end of Season 1, which featured Baylan potentially in search of something connected to the Mortis gods, will be a major plotline of Season 2. So, it will be next to near impossible for Star Wars to find someone to replace Ray Stevenson in the role of Baylan Skoll. I doubt that very much. Is there any... As Gene Roddenberry has once said, a galaxy not quite as far away. I forgot what I was saying now. Oh, right, as Gene Roddenberry once said, in a documentary that I watched, there's people in Hollywood that can do anything. It's filled with talented people, so I'm sure they can find somebody that could play Baylan Skoll. I've always said, no actor is bigger than the role. That's they can always recast. They can always recast. And if it's a good recast, the fans will accept it, in my opinion. But anywho, I wish I stopped saying that. It's habit. Right, anyway, so I'll start again. It will be next to near impossible for Star Wars to find someone to replace Ray Stevenson in the role of Baylan Skoll. Many believe Stevenson completely embodied the former Jedi. Yes, it was the single high point of that series, which, were frankly boring. And at the same time, made it, and ridiculous, and at the same time made it to where no one could see anyone but him as the character. They say that too much these days. I mean, why couldn't they recast, Luke Skywalker or Princess Leia or Black Panther? They'll recast other people. Anyway, never mind. However, there are a couple of names that not only resemble Stevenson, but are also able to exude the same emotion and on-screen presence as the late actor. One popular actor that some have suggested played Baylan, in Season 2 of Ahsoka is Russell Crowe, who has had one of the most illustrious careers in all of Hollywood. Yes, he has. Yeah. He'd have to hit the gym, I think. Excuse me. But yes, I think he'd play a good Baylan because he's a good actor. He's Russell Crowe. I like him. And he's a Leeds United supporter. Anyway, another potential actor who could do the role of Baylan justice is Graham McTavish. Yes, I think I know who that is. Who has played in many big-name fantasy sci-fi franchises. Yes, I know what I mean. Such as House of the Dragon, The Hobbit, and Netflix's The Witcher. I think he was in the Rambo film. Probably Rambo 4. It wasn't called that. I think it was just called Rambo. The one that was super violent. I know they're all violent, but Rambo particularly super violent. I think he was in that, playing like a mercenary. That's Graham McTavish. Anyway, McTavish also sports a striking resemblance to Stevenson and is often able to command viewers' respect and attention when on screen, just like Stevenson did in Ahsoka. Yes, he'd be good. Gerard Butler is yet another name that some fans have lobbied for to replace Stevenson. Nah. I imagine he'd be good, but I think he's a bit too famous for him, to be honest. Butler's acting credits include movies like 300, This is Sparta, and The Phantom of the Opera. Oh, the Phantom of the Opera is here, inside your mind. Oh dear. I could have done that. I could have been a contender on stage, proving that he has an incredible range. More than me. Butler also looks and sounds similar to Stevenson. Not really. And also, Ray Stevenson were Irish. Gerard Butler's Scottish. And also has a lot of experience in action films and fight choreography, making him perfect for lightsaber combat and important physical scenes. Ahsoka Season 1 is available to stream on Disney+. Yes, he was in Dracula 2000 as well, wasn't he? Playing the titular role. Yes. Anyway, so there we go. Anyway, don't forget he was in, the classic film. I forgot what they're called now. It's that classic. Oh, that big disaster movie. What's it called? Greenland. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Or I'm thinking of another one. There's been a couple of them, hasn't there? Anyway, so there we go. My money would be on Graham McTavish, because, like I say, he's not a household name, and I think people would accept him if they did want to recast. I think Russell Crowe, Gerard Butler are too big a name, if you know what I mean. People would just be seeing them. Whereas Graham McTavish, not so much. He's got the face, the people say, oh, I know him from something, but they think, but I don't know his name. They'd be like that. So I think Graham McTavish would be my favourite, to be completely honest. So there we go. But they didn't really tease it, did they? They've just said the story continues, and they may be following him, perchance. But anyway, there we go. And that still looks like a PlayStation 2 game. Anyway, so there we go. Next up. Hang on. I thought people were saying Joaquin Phoenix. Were they? Oh, right. Another one that, again, I think it's too famous for the role, because people would just be saying, that's Joaquin Phoenix, and not Baylan Skoll. Anyway. They'll do what they want to do, or they will... they won't do what the fans, but they never do they? Whatever the fans suggest, they always do the opposite. They'll probably cast a woman, knowing bloody Disney. They'll say, oh, the Force made him change sex. Or his spirit moved, his Force spirit went into... They'll probably bring Shin Hati to the fore, and they said, Baylan's spirit, it jumped off that finger. It jumped off it to his death. But the Force, his spirit, his capture, so to speak, went into Shin Hati, and she is now Baylan Skoll. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm giving them ideas, probably. Anyway, let's move on. Oh dear. What's next? As I said, sticking with Star Wars. It's all Star Wars, and then Star Trek, and then there's a Star Wars at the end. I don't know why that's at the end. It just is. And I can't be bothered moving it, because I'd have to move things in the description, and I can't be bothered. Right. Right, next. Next up, let me make this bigger. The cat's here, she's come down, she's heard me speaking. Look, she was upstairs with Aidan, being all quiet and lovely and gorgeous, and now she's come down because she's heard me talking. Right, this is from the Flickering Myth, which I don't know why. I always want to get into fits of giggles when I say that. I don't know why. E.J. Moreno. Ewan McGregor recalls the backlash to Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, open to Obi-Wan Season 2. And there he is in The Phantom Menace as the Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. And there he is later. When it comes to his time in the Star Wars universe, Ewan McGregor has conflicting feelings. During a recent interview with Variety, McGregor got candid about his time playing the iconic Obi-Wan Kenobi, which started back in 1999 with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I was always curious about, we had Obi-Wan Kenobi in The Phantom Menace, and his master was Qui-Gon Jinn. And I always thought, are they from the same planet? Does it say in like Wikipedia? I've never looked it up. Do we know where Obi-Wan Kenobi's from originally? I always wondered, with them having like a double barrel first name, were they, from the same planet? I don't know. I just popped in my head. Anyway, I've never looked it up on Wikipedia, and I should do, shouldn't I? Not Wikipedia. Anyway, at the time, McGregor wasn't the widely known actor he is now, but he was happy with his spot in the indie film world. That drug one by Danny Boyle, that one, he was in that one too. But he was happy with his spot in the indie film world. That caused him to be very reluctant about tackling the role. The actor reveals his feelings about the project back then, saying, "It wasn't a done deal for me. I didn't think it was at all who I was. I believed at that point I was a Danny Boyle actor." It popped in my head. Train spotting, that's what I'm thinking of. The beach was more important, and I meant it. It wasn't flippant. I did ask a lot of people for advice, but I thought he wanted to do it because they were a massive Star Wars fan. That's why he wanted to do it. Plus his uncle, Dennis Lawson, had been in the original trilogy. He was playing Wedge. And I thought that's why he wanted to do it. Anyway, he adds that the reception of the films was hard to handle. "I'm happy that I'm this character for a lot of people, but when these films came out, they were so disliked. That was hard. Still made a bucket load of money, though." Some fans didn't like him. I wasn't a huge fan, to be honest, but I think my reviews are still on my website, I think, that I did way back in the day. Anyway, the first one was panned, and we still had to make another 2. It was weird to be in a film that was hammered. But McGregor enjoyed his time enough to return as Obi-Wan for the Disney Plus series, which seemed to be a much better experience for the actor. But, the series, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, was terrible. He tells the outlet, "I would love to do the second season, but there's no talk of it yet, thank God. There's a lot going on at Disney. All 6 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi are streaming on Disney Plus." And there's a photo with is he just about to run off there? He's about to face Darth Vader, isn't he? And he just stands there, and then in a comedic way, it runs off. It was dead funny. And that tells you the cast are in Obi-Wan Kenobi, blah blah blah. Oh, is that it? Right, we've done. But yeah, he wanted to be in. The thing is, I thought he wanted to be in Star Wars because he was a massive Star Wars fan. But then he kind of fell out with it because he didn't like the way the films were made, because it were all like green screens and blue screens or whatever. And, he didn't like it, did it? And I don't think he appreciated the fact that George Lucas wasn't really an actor's director. Faster and more thingamabob. Obi-Wan was only 6 episodes. It felt much longer, and nothing happened. Yeah. Is that all it was? I can't remember. All I remember about it, really, is little Princess Leia and her silly little running through a forest, bamboozling them bounty hunters or whatever the hell they were. And as I say, and Obi-Wan running off. Oh, and hiding the princess under his trench coat. Bonkers. It was garbage, wasn't it? It was absolute. But hilariously so. Oh, yes, and the laser barrier that they couldn't get past, except it just they could have just walked round it. Oh dear. Anyway, never mind. Hopefully they won't make a season 2, because it was terrible, it was. Anyway, right. Moving on. She's starting, is the cat. She is. Right, bear with me. Hang on, where are we? Is it that one? Yes. What are you doing? She's a blooming pest. Come on. Here, what's this? What's this here, princess? There, princess. Come on, you loony. Here, what's this here? What's this here for you? Are you going to go get it? Or are you going to sit there? You're going to sit there in front of the fire. Don't you put fire up? Yeah. Next thing you'll jump on top of the fire, won't you? Eh? I'll get you. I will. I'm back. Where are we now? There we go. I'm back. And take Jedi comedian from the Eternals. Oh, fake Jedi comedian. Oh, yes, he was in that, wasn't he? Yes, he was. Him that's going to be in Ghostbusters. That fella, he was in, wasn't he? Yes. Yes, he was. Anywho. Oh, stop saying that. Anyway. She's going to start again. She is, I can tell. She's gone into the kitchen. I've put her some food out. She'll eat half of that and then she'll come back in. She'll start scratching again. Blooming nuisance. Right. But any whilst. Yes, I'll say that instead. Any whilst. I've got to bloody hate that word. Do you know why I hate the word whilst? Right, little story. Hang on, let's get rid of... Sorry, George, we'll remove you a minute. The reason I hate the word whilst is because I once was proofreading a book for somebody. I'll not say who, not that they'll be watching this, but proofreading a book, and not every other word, but about every sentence, at least every sentence, or at least a couple of times a paragraph, the word whilst popped in. It did my head in. I hated that word. I just saw it everywhere. I did. Anyway, right. Any whilst. Right, next. Let's make that bigger. This from Giant Freaking Robot. Chris Snellgrove. George Lucas blamed beloved Star Wars actor for ruining his best movie. There he is, George. We all love him, but, you know, he can be a bit of a knob, can't he? But anyway, while James Earl Jones provided the iconic voice for Star Wars villain Darth Vader, it was bodybuilder David Prowse who donned the suit and brought the Dark Lord of the Sith to life. Sadly, George Lucas and David Prowse had an epic falling out that lasted for many years, and this led to the actor getting shunned both on set and at various Star Wars events. Worst of all, it now seems the origin of their feud involves a false accusation on the part of Lucas about Prowse supposedly spoiling Return of the Jedi. Right, and there he is in Empire Strikes Back. At Cloud City. The origin of the feud between George Lucas and David Prowse goes all the way back to 1978. Oh, halcyon days. After the first Star Wars film, back when it was just called Star Wars, became a blockbuster success, everyone involved became celebrities, including the man beneath the legendary Darth Vader costume. While signing autographs and posing for pictures at a store in California, Prowse revealed something truly shocking, that Darth Vader was in fact Luke Skywalker's father. Dun, dun, dun. In the pre-internet era, remember this is 1978, so long before Empire Strikes Back came out. I mean, 1978, the sequel to Star Wars potentially were going to be Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Anyway, in the pre-internet era, this bombshell revelation didn't spread any further than a single newspaper. George Lucas was therefore happy, more or less, with how surprised the world was at the revelation that Luke Skywalker's daddy was the embodiment of pure cinematic evil. Give us a what? No, sorry, spoilers. Sorry. I haven't got a spoiler thing, have I? Shall I make one? Hang on. How do I do it? Where are we? Create a banner. There we go. Just bear with me. Oh, it's supposed to be capitals, stupid man. There. Scroll across bottom ticker. There we go. Is that going to work now? There we go. Spoilers. Spoilers ahead. No, we don't need that now. You've been warned. You have been warned. After the fact. Anyway. I forgot where I was now. However, David Prowse had already taken his first steps down the path of the dark side by dishing about future movies, and that would sadly end up dominating his destiny. There's David Prowse. Looks like he's telling a jolly story, doesn't he? In his Bristolian accent, or whatever it was, from down south somewhere in England. So he talked a bit like that, my love. A bit like that. I've done it before, haven't I? You are part of the rebel alliance and a traitor. Take her away, my duck. That was his accent were a bit like. Fast forward to 1982, 1 year before the Return of the Jedi hits theatres, a UK tabloid ended up leaking the news that Darth Vader died at the end of the trilogy because the actor had previously been all too happy to blab to fans and the press about Star Wars movie info. Hagrid, was that you? Yeah. You're a wizard, Harry. Anyway, ironically, Robbie Coltrane's Scottish. He were putting on an accent. Maybe he were doing an impression of David Prowse for Harry Potter. Anyway, where were we? All too happy to blab to fans and the press about Star Wars movie info. George Lucas blamed David Prowse for the latest leak. The results were immediate. Not only was Prowse, in his words, ostracised while on the movie, but he would continue to get the cold shoulder from Lucas for the rest of his life. And there he's later on in life. Met him a couple of times at conventions. He was always very nice. Sadly, the feud, David Prowse, that is, not George Lucas. Sadly, the feud between George Lucas and David Prowse lasted decades, with volleys back and forth. For example, an angry Prowse later took swipes at Lucas in the documentary The People vs. George Lucas. As for Lucas, he made sure that Prowse was banned from official Star Wars conventions in 2010, only a decade before the actor's untimely death. In a final bitter irony, this decades-long feud began and was sustained by simple misunderstandings. Vader was innocent, and there he is in Rogue One. It's obviously not David Prowse, though, is it? Not sure who that is under the mask in this one. It could be Spencer Wilding, or it could be the other fella. There were two of them. There might have been three, actually. But not sure which one that is. For example, Prowse couldn't actually know that Vader was Luke's father in 1978. I don't think even George Lucas knew, to be honest. By the time he was happily signing autographs at that store in California, an early draft of The Empire Strikes Back featured Luke talking to a Force ghost of his very dead dad. It seems like the Darth Vader actor pulled this revelation out of the ether, and by sheer happenstance, it ended up being correct. Or if you want to give Prowse a more charitable reading here, it's entirely arguable that it was Lucas who stole Prowse's idea about Luke's parentage. As for that leak about Vader dying in Return of the Jedi, the reason George Lucas blamed David Prowse is that the tabloid headline with the leaked info read, Darth Vader to be killed off in the next movie in an interview with David Prowse. What actually happened was that the newspaper, the Daily Mail, called Prowse while he was at the gym and claimed they wanted to talk about his weightlifting career, and that's when the reporter blindsided the actor with news that his character would die and that another actor would be under the helmet. So there you go. So David Prowse was told all this that were going to happen, and David Prowse didn't spill anything. The provocative headline, however, was designed to make it sound like the leaked Vader info came straight from Prowse. It's a typical tabloid ruse. Typical British tabloid. I bloody hate tabloid newspapers, particularly The Sun. But, they're terrible. They are terrible. It's a typical tabloid ruse designed to fool readers, but in a terrible twist, it ended up fooling George Lucas as well. To our knowledge, he never reconciled with David Prowse, meaning that the Darth Vader actor died bitterly feuding with the Star Wars creator all over a series of misunderstandings and misleading headlines. There we go. And there he is burning away. All his suit is. Later to be recovered somehow by Kylo Ren. Probably goes poking around the ashes. Hey, look, I found it. So there we go. But it's famous, isn't it? They did have a feud. Everybody knew that they didn't like each other. It started back with Star Wars, didn't it? Because David Prowse didn't like that they didn't use his voice. As I said, he didn't really have a good Vader voice, to be honest. I mean, if you watch, I think it's on Empire of Dreams. I think it's on there where it shows his, his on set, because he did the lines on set, and you can see why they didn't use his voice. You were part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. Oh dear. Bless him. Bless him. Got his autograph. Met him a couple of times. And my son met him as well. And he was proudly showing off his gong that he got off the Queen. I think it was a CBE or something like that. Commander of the British Empire. But he was very proud of that. Anyway, bless him. Wingray says, I want to go to the alternate universe with his voice as Vader and Genevieve. I always call her Genevieve as Janeway. Yeah, I don't know, because I like Cate. What's her face? Kate Mulgrew. I like Kate Mulgrew more than Genevieve. What's her face? What is up with me? I'm hopeless. Yeah. It'd been interesting though, wouldn't it? I mean, we've got those little of Genevieve Bujold as Janeway. Was she called Janeway at that time, or did that name change? I don't know, but yes, Cate is infinitely better. But I want to experience the difference. Yeah. Like I said, there's some little clips, isn't there, of Genevieve as the captain of the Voyager. But it lasted 2 days or something, didn't she? And she couldn't handle it. Bless her. At least she was honest, and she said, "I can't do this." And before she got too far into it. But anyway. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear Dave Prowse's voice as Vader. Join me, and we'll rule the galaxy as father and son. Anyway, never mind. Right, we'll move on. Oh, hang on. It was always Janeway. All right, fair enough. The first name change from Elizabeth. Oh, yes, I've seen that somewhere. Yes, I've seen that. Genevieve or whatever it was, Nicole Janeway, and Cate demanded that they change it to Catherine and make her Irish. All right. Was she Irish? I didn't realise that. But she was a huge fan of Catherine Hepburn. She even played her, didn't she, on like a TV movie or whatever, didn't she? Because she sounded just like it. I'm sure she actually is Catherine Hepburn. But I'm a big simp for Kate Mulgrew. I think she's gorgeous. I do. Anyway, right. Let's move on. Right. Right, this is the one where I'm going to get my book out. Where is it? I've got it here. Right. But we'll do the story first. Right, here we go. There we go. And let me make it bigger so you can read the writing with me. Right, it's from the Digital Fix. Trudy Graham. Luke Skywalker. This is another example, by the way, of George Lucas being a knobhead. Sorry, George, you are at times. Luke Skywalker is not the main Star Wars character, says George Lucas. Star Wars creator George Lucas revealed his primary storytelling concern with the science fiction movies was actually not Star Wars character George Lucas. He's lying. He is lying. Just straight out, barefaced lie. Pardon me. When division occurs in Star Wars fan spaces, it's always interesting to refer back to what the head honcho, bear with me, George Lucas himself, thinks about what the Star Wars characters he created. Or thinks about the Star Wars characters he created. The Skywalker saga was at first, at least, Lucas's brainchild. Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker is at the front and centre for the first Star Wars movies in order of release, and the franchise always finds its way back to him, even in Disney Plus shows like The Mandalorian. But that's not to say the universe revolves around his shiny blonde locks and blue eyes. No, Lucas has said that the crux of his story across all of his best fantasy movies was actually the tragedy of Darth Vader. He won. He's lying again. He told Rolling Stone, I made a series of movies. I wish I could do a George Lucas impression. I wish I could. I made a series of movies that was about one thing, Darth Vader. Originally, people thought it was all about Luke, because it was. We'll get to that. The early films are about Luke redeeming his father, so Luke's the focus, but it's also about Princess Leia and her struggle to re-establish the Republic, which is what her mother was doing. Eh? Oh, yeah, Padme, yeah, of course. So it's really about mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. He had no idea about Padme when he thought of Princess Leia. He didn't. The first 3 episodes are a tragedy, and the second 3 go slightly goofy. But they're inspirational. What's he talking about? Does he mean the second 3 as in the original trilogy? Or does he mean the second 3 as in the prequel trilogy? I don't know. Anyway, even the worst, most evil people find compassion. Darth Vader has compassion for his children, and that's ultimately what children are for. No, that's it. Is that it? Oh, yeah, that's all he says. So, anyway, he's talking out of his ass. Sorry, George Lucas is talking out of his bum. He's just, as Tony from Hack the Movies would say, is rewriting the wheel, so to speak. Oh, let me take this out of here because it's a bit shiny. But, you know, it's about Luke Skywalker. Originally, the original trilogy at least, about Luke Skywalker. Because in all the material that George Lucas had to sign off on, hang on, let me make myself big. It was always said, the first few books anyway, the ones that, well, at least the Star Wars novelisation of Splinter of the Mind's Eye said in big letters, you see it there, from the adventures of Luke Skywalker. And it even says it in the, there you go, in the, where are we, can you see? From the adventures of Luke, doesn't say from the adventures of Darth Vader, does it? Or Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. So there you go. So he's talking out of his bottom. He's rewriting the wheel. Copyright Tony from Hack the Movies. He's changing history, basically. Oh, God, I've ripped my bag. Hang on. There we go. By the way, thanks to my big brother for getting me this hardback book. I've got the paperback novelisation. You know, the famous yellow one. But my brother got me that. It's a cherished item. So yeah, he makes stuff up, doesn't he? He'd no idea when he was doing the first Star Wars films. He'd no idea that about Padme and all this stuff. He didn't know. He didn't know that when he first did Star Wars. He didn't know that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's dad. Even though, you know, people say, "Oh, Darth Vader, that's Dutch for Dark Father." It's just a coincidence. It is just a coincidence. He didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't even know that Darth Vader was going to be Anakin Skywalker. Probably right up until Return of the Jedi, when we first heard the name Anakin Skywalker. But he knew it was poetry. Yes, he did. Yes, because it rhymes. I'm sorry, George. But, you're an idiot. You gave us Star Wars and we all love you, but, you're an idiot. But never mind. Right, let's move on. Let's hammer through these stories. Another Star Wars one. Then, here we go. It's from Slash Film, or as I used to like to call it, Italic Eye Film. Shea Senate. Who the hell? That's a right name. That's a Star Wars name, isn't it? Anyway. A Star Wars actor was put in his place after criticising Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And there's Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy holding some sort of glowing orb. You know what? I've never seen the film, Buffy the Vampire Slayer film, I don't think. I might have seen bits of it. I don't think I've ever sat and watched it all the way through. But I've seen the series beginning to end. Sorry, I thought I heard the cat again. What is she? She's lurking somewhere. Right. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a groundbreaking series, but not everyone recognises its genius. The show subverted sexist tropes that characterised women as helpless damsels in distress and painted men as their heroes. Because I watched the film, it's not great. It's Donald Sutherland in it as the Watcher, isn't it? But she's starting. Look, get back. Does she want to go out? I bet she doesn't, because it's terrible weather. It's windy and raining. She wants to go out, but she won't. Just bear with me. I'll be back momentarily. You're interrupting me. Where are you? Come on, then. Come on, then. Quick. Quick, before others come. That's it. What? Look about the face. Don't get run over. I'm back. She's gone out. Right, where were we? Buffy appeared to be completely powerless, but secretly packed a huge punch. Some people believe that a woman could never be as strong as the Slayer, and some of those people were in huge Hollywood films like the original Star Wars trilogy. I'll read it and then I'll give my opinion. And sorry, I'll say it now. Buffy, she wasn't just a regular person, though. She was a superhero, wasn't she, essentially? She was super-powered. But she wasn't just, a slip of a girl. She was a superhero. Anyway, the coming-of-age WB series... Was Buffy a WB series? I thought it were on Fox. Because it's on Disney Plus now in the UK. So anyway, whatever. It's inherently supernatural, but that didn't stop people from criticising Buffy for being unrealistic. Displays of superhuman strength are common in male-driven comic adaptations like Spider-Man or Thor, where the hero's powers originate from similarly mythical or science fiction origins. But because Buffy is a teenage girl, some viewers couldn't wrap their heads around her capability. But it's told in the series many times that she's a superhero. Oh, what it on WB? All right, fair enough. But it's on Disney Plus now in the UK, so that's why I thought it must have been a Fox show. Anyway. Writer-director David Fury explained the necessity for a character like Buffy in the 90s media landscape in a cast and crew reunion interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Joss Whedon series creator saw that there was a need for this feminist heroine at the time. It was a young girl who could still be real and flawed and everything that makes us human, but she's going to be the one that saves the world. Young girls and young women did not have anything like that. Everything was very male-oriented at the time. The characters weren't defined by their relationships with men. Often the men were defined by their relationship with the leading woman. I'm not sure that's entirely accurate, but never mind. Fox produced it, but it aired on the WB. That's why it left the WB. Eventually, Fox demanded more money. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. James Masters, the actor behind Spike, Buffy's punk rock vampire enemy turned lover, were he based on Billy Idol? Sure he was. has also sung the praises of the show's feminist message. If the actor didn't already realise why the world needed Buffy at the time, years of working in Hollywood definitely proved it to him later on. And there she is, getting a vampire, monster, zombie, don't know, somebody with a manky head. Anyway. Spike might be the least feminist character in the series and the one who compromises the empowering message of the show the most. But the actor who plays him is well versed in the ways that Buffy challenged gender norms. It was a show that was subverting the lie that women can't defend themselves, and it made certain people uncomfortable, Masters explained. But there's no need to take his word for it. He has anecdotal evidence of just how much the show ruffled certain feathers in Hollywood. Quote, I remember talking to one of the original Star Wars actors, and he said Buffy was a stupid show because no woman that size could hit that hard and defend herself that well. As I never watched like Wonder Woman, with Linda Carter. She wasn't exactly huge, she wasn't rippling muscles, was she? But she could handle herself, picking up cars and stuff. I said, I'm so glad I'm talking to you, buddy. By the way, bleep, there's 3 stunt doubles for Buffy. They're multiple black belts, and believe me, they could kill us right here, right now, without breaking a sweat. And then he kept going on, and I said, how tall is Bruce Lee? And that was the end of the conversation. Exactly. If somebody's adept at, like, martial arts or, just fighting in general, and another person isn't, sometimes it's technique, innit, that wins the day, rather than brute force or power. But anyway, Masters voices Captain Argius in an episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars that was released in 2008. Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO in the original trilogy, was reprising his old role for Clone Wars in the episode Masters appeared in. Since the Buffy alum shared this story in 2017, it's possible that Daniels was the actor who made this comment, but this has not been confirmed. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. It's no accident that Buffy's physical appearance and girlish personality completely contradicts her combat abilities and heroic will. This juxtaposition was actually the basis for the film that inspired the series of the same name, also written by Whedon. I did want to make a movie where a poor girl that kills would have to get her own back, he told IGN. Then I started out with Martha the Immortal Waitress. The idea of somebody that nobody would take account of, who just had more power than was imaginable. As if being a blonde valley girl wasn't enough. A huge part of what makes Buffy so unsuspecting is her name. But that's the thing about superheroes. Superheroes have got to be meek, in their everyday personality, everyday life, until they become the superhero. So, she's Buffy by day, a high school girl, cheerleader, whatever the hell she was. And same as with others like Clark Kent, were a meek and mild reporter. Peter Parker, were you're just a student or pizza delivery boy or whatever he did when he wasn't being Spider-Man. That's what superheroes do. Nobody suspects that it could be them. As if being a blonde valley girl wasn't enough, a huge part of what makes Buffy so unsuspecting is her name. Phonetically, it calls to mind fluffy and puffy, indicating that the girl who bears it would be soft and airy. It was the name that I could think of, that I took the least seriously, Whedon continued. There's no way you could hear the name Buffy and think this is an important person. To juxtapose that with Vampire Slayer just felt like that kind of thing, a B-movie. Nobody suspects meek superheroes or the Spanish Inquisition. No, nobody suspects that. No, nobody expects it, do they? Yes. Oh, dear. Go away. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Bring in the comfy chair. Although Buffy was a game-changer in 90s television, it was far from the only female-led series that helped shift the tides. The show had its predecessors, like the Wonder Woman comic adaptation in 1976, which ran for 3 seasons. It had the gorgeous Linda Carter, who was... sorry. She makes me shudder. I don't want to be a drop of water pretending I'm the whole wave, the Buffy creator clarified in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. But where that wave crashes, that's our beachhead, empowering women and young people and making everybody matter. I mean, look at Samantha Carter in Stargate. She looks like a bubbly, blonde-haired bimbo, doesn't she? But she's amazing. She saved the universe. She blew up a solar system once. But anyway... She still looks great today, or at least a couple of years ago when I saw it. Linda Carter, yes, like I said, she's astonishingly gorgeous. She must have good genes. Genes, not Wranglers. I imagine she's got good them as well. However, lots of people have credited Whedon with starting the wave, including Nicholas Brendan, who plays Xander, Buffy's hapless male sidekick. It changed the whole tapestry of TV, the actor concluded. And then she's with Angel in the background. I wasn't a huge fan of Angel. I like the series, but I wasn't a huge fan of the character of Angel. But anyway. The vampire with a soul. Now, as influential as Buffy was, it also had its fair share of flaws in feminist messaging. For one thing, the series creator was accused of misconduct by several actresses in the series, including Charisma Carpenter, who I've met, and she was lovely, and she's gorgeous as well, and Michelle Trachtenberg. The allegations against Whedon were documented thoroughly by Vulture in 2022. But, you know, is he still ostracised or whatever? Has anything come of that? You know, if he did something wrong, surely he should be punished, you know, legally. Or is it just, you know, word of mouth, gossip? I don't know. Anyway, you know, you blow up one son and suddenly everyone expects you to walk on water. Yes, she said that, didn't she? Yes. Oh, dear. Now, where were we? As empowering as the Warner Brothers series may be, its central metaphor is the brainchild of an incredibly troubled male psyche, the projection of a covertly misogynistic ego. Whedon even admitted to himself that Buffy, the figure of the unlikely hero, is simply a pathetically obvious metaphor for what I wanted my life to be. Well, they were always creating like superpowered women, weren't they? He did Buffy, he did River Tam in Firefly. She was superpowered, wasn't she? Mental, but superpowered. And also the characters in Dollhouse, created them. They were like superpowered women, weren't they? He was obsessed with making women superpowered. Anyway, I forgot what I want now. Whedon even admitted himself that Buffy, the figure of the unlikely hero, is simply a pathetically obvious metaphor for what I wanted my life to be, after feeling as though he had been overlooked his whole life, perhaps largely by women. He's not a looker, is he? I mean, I've no room to talk, but, you know. Buffy was Whedon's opportunity to make people listen. Like, I'm the guy that nobody paid attention to, he elaborated. What they didn't know was that I'm really important. I can save the world, so, you know, that's pretty cool too. With Buffy, Whedon intended to make something more entertaining than ideological, to make a feminist show that didn't make people feel like they were being lectured to, as he put it in conversation with The Hollywood Reporter. However, he recognises that calling the show feminist means trying to measure it against ever-changing standards. I've said before, when you declare yourself politically, you destroy yourself artistically. Oh, pardon me. He told BuzzFeed in 2015, because suddenly that's the litmus test for everything you do. For example, in my case, feminism. If you don't live up to the litmus test of feminism in this one instance, then you're a misogynist. It circles directly back to you, or back upon you. Whether Buffy lives up to the standards of feminist ethics or not, there's no question that it changed a few minds about what a woman can do, and a major Star Wars actor was one of them. There we go. But it's Anthony Daniels, probably, and he's an idiot. He is. I don't like Anthony Daniels. Don't like him. But he plays a good 3PO and nothing else. Not seen him in anything else apart from, speaking of vampires, I bought a vampire motorcycle. And not many people have seen that film. Right. So let's move on. What next? Right, we're on to Star Trek stuff now. Hey, there we go. William Shatner, this is from the Digital Fix. Who writes this? James Osborne. William Shatner shares honest opinion on Strange New Worlds Kirk actor. Right, I bet he's nice about him. And there's William Shatner, the Shat. Star Trek legend William Shatner is known for his strong opinions on a variety of subjects, whether it's space travel, environmentalism, or feuds with his former cast members. Because they're bitter, aren't they? Because he was the star of the show. Him and Leonard Nimoy. Across decades, Shatner starred as Star Trek captain James T. Kirk in the very first Star Trek series and would go on to reprise his role in the hugely successful TOS-era Star Trek movies too. His Star Trek character... They're friends. Yes. His Star Trek character has since returned to the franchise through recasting, with Chris Pine taking over as Captain Kirk to lead some of the best science fiction movies of the 2010s. James Osborne, you're a knobhead. You don't know what you're talking about, mate. Following on from Pine's era as Kirk, and with the Star Trek 4 release date still up in the air, the Starfleet captain has returned to the small screen with a role in the Strange New Worlds cast, played by Paul Wesley in the finale. What's this article from? Oh, one day ago. Well, in season 1, they were in the finale, and then he's been in pretty much all of season 2. Well, it popped up a few times anyway. Speaking with IGN at San Diego Comic-Con, Shatner was asked to give his opinion on Wesley's performance. I'm sure this is an old article, and gave an honest and open response. He's not James T. Kirk. No, he is. He's young and handsome and thin. Yeah, exactly, he's thin. Brilliant performance. Brilliant performer. He's a guy who's going to go very far. I think he's being very diplomatic. By the way, I don't mind the way the character in Strange New Worlds, but he's not the Captain Kirk of the original series. He's not the William Shatner Captain Kirk. He's this scrawny usurper. He's too thin for a start off. The Captain Kirk of the original series was a beast of a man, wasn't he? He looked like he could kick your head in, didn't he? But anyway, when asked if Wesley's Kirk was as handsome as the original, Shatner gave a significant pause before giving a cheeky response to say, "I don't remember." Of course he's not. Watching, well, he isn't though, is it? I mean, you put them side by side, William Shatner and in his heyday, in his Kirk heyday, and Paul Wesley that you see in Strange New Worlds. There's no comparison, in my opinion. Shatner is infinitely more handsome than Paul Wesley. I'm not saying Paul Wesley's ugly, but compared to William Shatner in his prime... Anyway, watching Shatner analyse Wesley's Kirk is fascinating, and you can see him consider every detail, both as he's watching the clips and as he's answering the questions. It isn't a huge surprise to hear him praise his fellow actor Paul Wesley. It would be ungracious to do otherwise, though perhaps there's a slight hint that Shatner has complex feelings watching others perform in the role he embodied for so long. Paul Wesley, will return in season 2. This must be an old article. It must be an old article, but it says there, published one day ago. I think they've just recycled an old article here. I think they have. Anyway, never mind. Like the meme I saw, says Wingrace, the other day, William Shatner is the third best Kirk. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Unbelievable, isn't it? Kids, what's what it is? Bloody kids, they don't know what they're talking about. Get off my lawn. Unbelievable. But I think there is... he's not James T. Kirk. That was his initial, that's what he actually means. And then he thinks, oh, hang on, no, I'd better be diplomatic here. He's young and handsome and thin. He's brilliant. Love him, darling, and all that. Is there an edit or update at the bottom? Let's have a look. See what it says. Not that I can see. Adverts. That's another advert about a VPN. And then it goes on to another article. No, it doesn't say it's an updated or republished or whatever. It says published 1 day ago there, but it's obviously from back in the day because they talk about season 2. Anyway, does it matter? James Osborne graduated from the University of York. I presume is that the British York? It must be. With a degree in archaeology, inspired by Captain Picard. Screen Rant, Vulture, AV Club. He's still an idiot. Still an idiot when he says stuff like, where are we? The Star Trek films are some of the best science fiction movies of the 2010s. You know what? I can't think of, off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of other science fiction movies in the 2010s. None of them are popping in. There must be some that are better than the Star Trek films. Although Star Trek Beyond wasn't that bad, mostly. Anyway. Silly article. Let's move on. I think there's more Star Trek. Yes, we have. Here we go. This one's on Screen Rant. John Orquiola. Q actor John Lancie doubts Star Trek Picard's legacy spin-off. I don't think it will happen. There we go. Bad news. Maybe. John Lancie made a well-received comeback as Q in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Remember, he allegedly died at the end of Season 2. Spoilers. Oh, hang on. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there. I'm clicking on the wrong button. There we go. Spoilers. Potential spoilers, at least. Right. And there he is. And they've just shown a picture of 7 of 9 for some reason. Maybe because she's lovely. What's she got a tattoo there? Is that just... Because I don't know. Right. John Lancie, who plays the omnipotent Q, or nearly omnipotent, as Picard would have put it. You may be nearly omnipotent. Picard Season 2 doesn't count as spoilers. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. It was terrible, wasn't it? Apart from Episode 1, which were fine. Episode 1 of Season 2 were fine, for the most part. Right, anyway, John Lancie, who plays the nearly omnipotent Q, shares his doubts that Star Trek Picard Season 3's that the Star Trek Picard Season 3's proposed spin-off Star Trek Legacy, #Star Trek Legacy, will happen. Q mysteriously died at the end of Star Trek Picard Season 2, but the all-powerful trickster made a triumphant surprise comeback in the end credits scene of Star Trek Picard Season 3's finale. Only this time, Q has turned his fascination from Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, to his son, Jack Crusher, Ed Spilliers. Oh, pardon me. Appearing on Trek Movies All Access Star Trek podcast, John Lancie addressed Q's return at the end of Star Trek Picard Season 3, which the actor took as the jump-off for the next show. However, a year after Picard Season 3 premiered, Lancie takes a pragmatic approach to whether there will be a Star Trek Legacy spin-off. Read his quote below, and we will do just that. Quote, well, most post-credit scenes are set up for something else, so I took it as that. In reading it, I went, oh, well, there it is. There is the baton. There's the jump-off for the next show. I don't think at this point it will happen. There was a fun period of time that it looked like it could happen, but then there was the writer's strike, which took a lot of people's attentions away. I don't think that they expected that Season 3 was going to be as good and as well received. They had already decided on another show. 2. They were already moving in another direction, but it was certainly a really valiant and well-appreciated finale to the next generation. Yes, it was. I said, Picard Season 3, I don't think it was perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it was infinitely better than the other stuff we've had. Probably, I don't know. I don't know if it's the best new Trek we've had. I'm a big fan of Strange New Worlds. I've said this before. I don't know. I love Strange New Worlds, and I don't know why. I realise it's changing canon and everything, but for some reason, I love it. I don't know why. I can't explain it. It's just one of those things. But Picard Season 3 comes, pretty close for me. Although there are bits in it that, that niggle at me. But and it does deserve the spin-off, the Titan A show, not the Enterprise G, the Titan A show, Star Trek Legacy. It deserves it. But Alex Kurtzman won't allow it. He won't allow it. But anyway, he's obsessed with this bloody Star Trek Academy series that nobody wants. His Star Trek Section 31 film now that nobody wants. None of the fans, anyway. Oh, there's more now. I thought that was the end of the article. Anyway, we'll carry on. Note, John Delancey's Q is one of the most beloved Star Trek characters, and he has only made 22 appearances across the franchise. Is it that many? Oh, right. I didn't realise there were that many. But anyway, right. As John Delancey notes, there are many factors involved that have led to Star Trek Picard Season 3 not getting an immediate green light for a legacy spin-off. Hang on. Whitgrace says, because Prodigy is doing something new with the old, but Picard was doing something old with the new. Yeah. Yes. Very good. But they're both good. Like I said, Star Trek Prodigy is very good as well. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I didn't see that bit there. Sorry. I put Prodigy over Picard Season 3. That's about equal for me. But yes, I agree with that, because Prodigy is doing something new with the old, but Picard was doing something old with the new. Yes, I see where you're coming from now. Sorry, I missed that one. I didn't notice that previous comment. Yes, I agree. But I hold Prodigy and Picard Season 3 about equal in enjoyment. The entire streaming industry is changing as studios are tightening their belts in terms of content development, and Paramount is in particular upheaval, as the studio could soon be sold, with the Star Trek IP along with it. It says, I think Q bumped his appearances up by being in a bunch of Picard and a couple Lower Decks episodes that people don't really think about counting. Yeah, do they mean appearances like in... It must be like in each episode, because he was in each episode of Picard Season 2, wasn't he? Pretty much. But how many episodes? Well, there 10 episodes of Picard Season 2, and I think he was in every one, wasn't he, at some point? So that's 10 appearances straight away, isn't it? So you've only another 12 to find, haven't you? But anyway. So, yeah. Right, where were we? Somebody sold. In 2023, Paramount Plus cancelled both Star Trek Discovery, thank God, and Star Trek Prodigy, which then went to Netflix and committed to developing a new series, Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which nobody wants. Apart from the people in it, obviously, and Alex Kurtzman, and Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh's Star Trek Section 31 movie, which was supposed to be a series, but then she won an Oscar, and obviously her price went up. And now, we'll rework it as a film. But still, nobody asked for that either. But it's Alex Kurtzman. He's obsessed with it. He's been on about Section 31 since the end of Season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. Sorry, I'm internal anger. There may be truth to John Delancey's assertion that Paramount Plus didn't expect the enormously positive reception Star Trek Picard Season 3 received. Change that to Alex Kurtzman. When they say Paramount Plus, they mean Alex Kurtzman. I didn't mean to do that. I'll get it. There we go. And the streamer had already decided on its next projects. Delancey's Star Trek Picard co-star Michelle Hurd hopes that Star Trek Legacy can still happen once Paramount Plus's current plans are executed, and if fans they want to be executed, and hopes that Star Trek Legacy, and if fans still want Legacy afterward, At that, yeah. I'll read that again. Michelle Hurd hopes that Star Trek Legacy can still happen once Paramount Plus's current plans are executed and if fans still want Legacy afterward. We got there in the end. Star Trek Picard Season 3's cast and creative team have all expressed their willingness to come back for Star Trek Legacy if it happens, but there is also no guarantee that Terry Matalas, his writers, production team or the actors will be available if Star Trek Picard's spin-off gets a green light. I'm sure that many of them would make themselves available. No, Star Trek Picard Season 3 is available to stream on Paramount Plus. And I keep looking at the Blu-ray, and I still haven't pulled the trigger on buying the Blu-ray on Picard Season 3. I've got Strange New Worlds Seasons 1 and 2 on Blu-ray. That tells you a lot, doesn't it? Anyway. But it's Alex Kurtzman. He doesn't want it to happen. He's hoping everybody's forgotten about it. That's what he's hoping. And so there we go. We've got some pictures to look at. Cool. The lovely Jerry Ryan. It's the Enterprise F, isn't it? Yes, the Odyssey class Enterprise F, which we saw in Picard Season 3, briefly, commanded by Admiral Elizabeth Shelby, who is not dead, according to Terry Matalas. We saw her get shot at point-blank range. Spoilers. We saw her get shot at point-blank range by two Borgified people. But according to Terry Matalas, she's not dead. She certainly looked it, but anyway. And there's Ed Spaliers as Jack Crusher, 7 of 9 again. Every picture's got 7 of 9 in, because she's gorgeous. And the lovely Gates McFadden as Beverly Crusher. And there's What's-His-Face. I've got to admit, I don't particularly like him. I can't remember his bloody name. As the captain of the Titan A, I didn't like him. People raved about him, and I didn't like him. Not to mention, Paramount is being sold, so who knows? Yes, they did mention that in the article, that Paramount might be sold. But it's, I forgot the name, the studio, what do they call it now? Something Skydance. Skydance were on about putting a bid in, weren't they? Anyway. That's one of the LaForge girls. I can't remember which is which now. I've forgotten. And obviously, Captain William Riker and 7 of 9 again. Hey, and there she is. Oh, back to the beginning. Right, fair enough. I just wanted to look at some pictures. Yes, Skydance, Warner Brothers, and Byron Allen. Who the hell's Byron Allen? Have put in offers. Who's Byron Allen? Don't know. Plus some low-level place. I've even seen Apple get mentioned as well at some point. But anyway, we'll see. We will see what happens. Wait for the scoops from Sidetrek, from Jay at Sidetrek. His sources will let us know. I've nothing against Jay, but, you know. Say enough stuff, and you'll get something. A clock's right twice a day. A broken clock is right twice a day. I'm sorry, but, you know, I've said it. All right. He's a billionaire comedian who wants to strip it for parts. All right. A billionaire comedian? Anyway, I've never heard of him. Mustn't have been very funny. Right, let's move on. They'll probably sell it to Disney. I bet they do. I bet they sell Star Trek to Disney. Somebody else will buy Paramount, but they'll sell off the Star Trek franchise to Disney. Oh, they've got Star Wars. They could do Star Trek as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Right, next up. Right, here we go. Oh, I forgot to full screen. You see, in all my tabs. There we go. This is from comicbook.com. Jamie Lovett. Star Trek Noah Hawley's scrapped film would have starred Cate Blanchett and Rami Malek. Which, you know, I'm interested now. I want to see it because I like both of those. Right. Noah Hawley says that Cate Blanchett and Rami Malek would have starred in his cancelled Star Trek movie. Hawley's Star Trek movie would have starred a new crew, and according to composer Jeff Russo, a story that would have had fans losing their minds. Hawley has stated that Paramount Pictures pulled the plug on his Star Trek project during casting discussions. During an appearance on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, Hawley revealed which star... All these podcasts I've never heard of. Hawley revealed which stars were involved in those casting talks. I was going to make a Star Trek movie with Cate Blanchett and Rami Malek, Hawley said. I can imagine Cate Blanchett playing a Starfleet captain. I can just see her in command of a bridge. I can. Oh, I want to see this film now. Sorry, I'm getting all excited for no reason, for something that's not going to happen. Anyway. I was going to make a Star Trek movie with Cate Blanchett and Rami Malek, Hawley said. You could have had that America, Planet Earth. What does that even mean? You could have had that America, Planet Earth. I have no idea. No idea what he's talking about there. Early rumours suggested that Paramount halted Hawley's Star Trek movie as it was on the edge of entering production because the plot revolved around a pandemic, which the studio felt hit too close to home. It's bloody cold. Anyway, however, Hawley later... I know people have died and all that, but more people have died from the reaction to it than it. However, Hawley later told Deadline that the changing of the guard at Paramount Pictures, with Emma Watts becoming president, resulted in support for his Star Trek movie, with its unproven new crew vanishing. See, no experienced commanders, as I said in Star Trek 5. We were on the runway, Hawley said. There was a major casting that we were in the middle of. We had a production schedule, and I was getting ready to go to Australia. And then, as you said, new management. Maybe they were filming it in Australia, which is maybe why they get Cate Blanchett in, because, she's Australian, isn't she? And then, as you said, new management. I guess in retrospect, what surprised me is not that Emma Watts came in and said, "Are you people crazy? This is an untested crew." A bunch of school children. Star Trek 2. This is an original idea. We don't know if this is going to work or not work. It's that I got as far as I did under Wick Godfrey and Jim Giannabrothers. It was a really fun movie, and I think it would have been a great film, but you can't control these things, so you move on. Imagine writing it, though. Imagine writing something like that, being all excited that you're going to make a film, and then it doesn't happen. Oh, I'd be gutted. Well, it's happened. It's happened for me, sorry. I was contracted to write a film, wrote a screenplay and everything. Never happened. I got fired because the producer was a con artist, basically. Anyway, it's not easy, Hawley continued, and if you have to allow yourself to have that process of, I won't say grieving because it's not life or death, but you do have to pour your 40 out on the ground for the movie that would have been to really celebrate that you were excited artistically about something, and now you have to, just as you were getting ready to ramp up, you have to cauterise that wound and move on. They need to release all these things as novels. Yeah, they should do, shouldn't they? It'd be good. Or just release the script, make it available, publish it and stuff. A bit like what J. Michael Straczynski did with The Coming of Shadows, the episode of Babylon 5. He released that as a book, didn't he? The script. I've got it over there somewhere. Anyway, Star Trek 4 has been in development limbo for years, with multiple unrealised projects going through development and writers and directors coming and going. Most recently, Paramount announced that it is developing a Star Trek movie that is an origin story of the Enterprise crew, while also pursuing a sequel to Star Trek Beyond that would bring back the... I don't remember that one. That would... yes, I do. That would bring back the cast of the Kelvin timeline Star Trek movies. Yes, because they're doing one... Yeah. They said decades before the events of Star Trek 2009, but technically that could be, either before the timeline changed or just slightly after, couldn't it? But never mind. Anyway. None of these will happen. No, I don't think they will. No, I don't think it will. Meanwhile, Paramount Plus is moving forward with direct-to-streaming Star Trek movies. The first Star Trek Section 31, which nobody wants, starring Michelle Yeoh, who everybody loves. I love Michelle Yeoh. I just don't like Empress Georgiou. Captain Georgiou were fine. Why did they kill her off? Began filming in Toronto in January. Patrick Stewart also recently revealed that he was expecting to receive a script for a new Star Trek movie starring the Star Trek The Next Generation crew. Whether that's meant for Paramount Plus or theatres is unclear. Or is that it? Right. You have to take it all with a pinch of salt, haven't you? As Wingrace says, hang on, where are we? None of these will happen. You have to believe that, haven't you? And then, just think none of it will happen. And then if ever any of them do, you can like say, oh, well, that's a nice surprise. Or that's a terrible decision. Or whatever. At least you'd have some reaction to it, won't you? But anyway, yeah. But I want to watch a Star Trek film starring Cate Blanchett now. That's what I want to do. I've got these images of her in my head of in a Starfleet uniform, a modern one, not these silly ones from the Kelvin universe and all that. A proper Star Trek uniform. I can just see it in my head, and I want to watch it now. Every time I watch Lord of the Rings now, I'll be seeing Galadriel in a Starfleet uniform. Yes, I'll work on some AI art. Yes. I've never been able to get my head around these AI art things. Can you just go in and say, do me a picture of Cate Blanchett as a Starfleet captain? Would that work? I don't know, because I've never dabbled in it. I don't know how it works. Anyway, let's move on. I hope I have a dream now tonight about Cate Blanchett in the Starfleet uniform, because I'm kind of hot on Cate Blanchett. I mean, she's astonishingly gorgeous. Well, I think she is. Or is that what it basically is? I've never tried it. I'm lying. I've looked into it, but they're always like, I don't know. It always seems more complicated to me. My befuddled old brain. Plus, they always seem to be asking for money. These AI websites. Get your first one free or whatever. Or sign up. You've always got to sign up. And I thought, I don't want to sign up. I just want to make a picture. Anyway, never mind. But you could use more descriptors. You should, yeah. Yes, you should. Anyway, it's AI. You shouldn't have to. It should know, because it's AI. It's intelligent, allegedly. Anyway, let's move on. Last story. Back to Star Wars. This is from Screen Rant. Brianna Tauchek. Right, it's this one. Moff Gideon is not dead. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, get spoilers. Hang on, whatever. Just a minute. See what you started now, Wingrace. Spoilers, perchance. Right. We saw him get blown up, essentially, didn't we, at the end of The Mandalorian Season 3? Yeah, anyway. Actor Giancarlo Esposito is still convinced Moff Gideon, villain of The Mandalorian Seasons 1 to 3, could yet return despite his apparent death. Spoilers. There he is. That's probably at the end of Season 1, isn't it? On Navarro. Moff Gideon actor Giancarlo Esposito recently insisted that the popular The Mandalorian villain could still make a comeback. Since Season 1, Moff Gideon has been... But it's not Grand Moff Gideon, is it? Moff Gideon has been the most prominent and terrifying villain in the show. Esposito's powerful presence and stellar performance make his character one of the most imposing and threatening villains in Star Wars. At the end of The Mandalorian Season 3, he was consumed by fire as a crashing Star Destroyer blew up the Imperial facility he was in. However, Esposito believes that his character could still return. Didn't he force himself up or something? Make himself full of the Force. So I suppose essentially he could be alive somewhere, couldn't he? He could have made a Force bubble around himself or whatever. Anyway. Speaking on panel at MegaCon Orlando, which is going on this weekend, Via Star Wars Newsnet, Esposito repeated his desire to reprise his role as Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian, despite the character's apparent death in the Season 3 finale. While he doesn't know how this could happen, I'm just giving you a way. He refuses to give up on the iconic character, as Esposito observed humorously, quote, "So what you put out is what you receive, and I believe your mind can control a lot of your circumstance. And no matter what your circumstance is, you can overcome much of that circumstance." He likes that word, doesn't he? "If you're in the right mindset. I am not going to die, so therefore Moff Gideon is not dead." For some reason, Giancarlo Esposito thinks he's Sherlock Holmes when I'm doing him. Yes, somehow Gideon returned. Star Wars has an easy way of bringing back Moff Gideon. And then he's having an accident in his uniform by the looks. It looks like he's squeezing one out. Given that Star Wars has gotten in the habit of resurrecting characters, even because nobody's really gone, even ones definitively dead, such as Palpatine, it is possible that Moff Gideon could return. He was, after all, experimenting with cloning in The Mandalorian Season 3. See, there's another one. It's entirely possible the Moff Gideon who died was a clone, as noted by many viewers who've pointed out that the Gideon who died lacked a moustache. Oh, aye. You know what? I never even noticed. The question, of course, is whether this would be a good idea in a franchise at risk of rendering death meaningless. Sci-fi always does. The future is bright for The Mandalorian, with a spin-off movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, terrible name. They've got to change that, surely, haven't they? I mean, because, your normie is not going to know who The Mandalorian and Grogu is. They might know about The Mandalorian, but they're not going to know, are they? They're not going to know. You've got to call it something else. Give it a proper title. Star Wars, whatever. And talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu, in the advertising and stuff for it. But it needs another title. Recently announced. If Star Wars doesn't bring Moff Gideon back, it will need new foes who are equally intimidating. To truly threaten Din Djarin, these foes need a more personal connection to the heroes, meaning enemies like Moff Gideon would be a better fit than even Grand Admiral Thrawn. The Mandalorian is available to stream on Disney+. There we go. Let's make sure that is it. Yes, it is. Right. So, yeah, I think he'll be back, to be honest. I think they'll bring him back in some way, either hideously burned, but he survived somehow. I'm sure he gave himself the Force, didn't he? I'm sure he did. Because he destroyed the Darksaber, didn't he, with the Force? He did like that. And I'm sure he did. I can't remember, because I only watched it the once because it was rubbish. Yes, just call it Star Wars Baby Yoda. Yep, that'd work. It would. All the girls, Baby Yoda. You know how much Baby Yoda stuff I get for Christmas? I've got bloody Baby Yoda socks, and my sister's buying for me. Baby Yoda socks and Baby Yoda cups and bowls and loads of Baby Yoda stuff. And I hate the bloody thing. I appreciate the gifts. I just hate Baby Yoda. Anyway, it's fine. They don't watch my stuff. It's fine. But yes, I think he'll be back. I think he will be back. As I said, either hideously burnt, he's survived somehow, grown his moustache back maybe, I don't know. Or, probably more likely, yes, that were a clone. I never even realised he didn't have a tash. He had like a pen. Is it showing the first one? The first image. There you go. He's got a moustache there, look. That's from season 1. That's from season 3. Because obviously he can't have just shaved. It's obviously another man. He can't have just shaved his moustache off. But anyway. So yes, they'll probably bring a clone back of him. Or the original, that's a clone, and the original one, is fine somewhere. In the unknown regions or whatever. Right, that's it. We've done for another day. Yes, that is it. Right, we've done for another day. So, right, Right, what's coming up next? What have I got coming up next? Right, it's Sunday. So tomorrow, hang on, let me turn myself around. Tomorrow is Magnificent Mondays. It's going to be a long one. Hang on. So season 1 Riker is a clone. Yes, because he didn't have a beard and moustache, did he? Oh dear. That's how you tell them, you see, because they don't have facial hair. Because clones can't grow facial hair. It's it's in the Clone Manual 101. Clones can't grow facial hair. Pubes, basically. Clones have no pubes. Anyway, where were we? Tomorrow. Magnificent Mondays is tomorrow, and it's going to be a long one because... Hang on, which way around are we? Am I the right way around? Yes, I am. Because we're doing a double bill of... Where are we? There we go. Of Judge Dredd 1995 and Dredd 2012. We're doing them tomorrow, back to back. I love both of them, by the way. That one, I think, is an amazing Mega City one. That one is an amazing Dredd. Right, so that's tomorrow, and I've got to watch those tomorrow. I've got to watch them, and it's the special features as well to watch. Bloody hope so. Oh, there is. Right, cool. Then there'll be news on Wednesday. More news on Wednesday. I'll be doing my top 5 of the years I have been alive. We're up to 1969, which I uploaded today. So I'll do those every day or two, every other day, whatever, when I get round to it. But then what else have we got? Then on Friday is Appointment with Fear. I've got a little video up on my channel where I'm asking which one I should do, because I didn't know which to do. So we're doing either Wreck or Quarantine or both, because they're essentially the same film, except Wreck is the Spanish original, Quarantine is the American remake, and it's a good one, it's a decent remake. But I couldn't decide which to do. So make your choice, go look up the video. It's on my channel. Or I'll do both. Whatever. I might just do both anyway. But, whatever. You've got a few days to make my decision for me. It seems to be edging towards both. Everybody that's commented so far has said both. But anyway. Right, so we'll leave it there. So thanks, Win Grace, for hanging out with me while I go through the news. Nobody else popped in, did they? No, I didn't see. No Council of Joshers this time, and no Sci-Fi Quest either. Never mind. Everybody hates me. Right. So, anyway, we'll leave it there. So, go subscribe to Win Grace's YouTube channel, by the way, and Sci-Fi Quest as well. Even though he's not here, I'll still plug his channel. So, thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other, and until next time, I'll say there.